Alrighty then. It's funny, a friend of mine on Facebook posted up a thing, and it brought back some memories anyway. Um, Back in the early 1990s, in my hometown of Perth, Ontario, Canada, we had the Beautiful Day Man. I'll tell you the story of the Beautiful Day Man anyway. He was an elderly man who used to come into town. He used to come quite a distance. Um, he used to hitchhike into town, or sometimes he'd ride a really old bicycle, like an antique bicycle, in the town. He lived quite a piece away from town, but he came in every day, and it didn't matter what the weather, he came in every day. And anyway, Beautiful Day Man, he lived in a shack way back in the country, and nobody bothered him or anything. People said that he was a World War II veteran who had got his mind messed up from his, I guess, PTSD, basically, we would call it nowadays. Back then, we'd be more likely to say he was shell-shocked or whatever. But apparently, World War II had messed him up, and so his mind wasn't right. But anyway, he come into town every day. Um, I guess he had, he had lice and whatnot, and he wasn't the cleanest person, um, but perfectly harmless. Never do anyone any harm, and very pleasant in person. Anyway, he used to wear heavy mechanics coveralls. Even in July, like insulated mechanics coveralls, like the type a mechanic would use to work on machinery outside in the wintertime. He'd wear those every day, the same heavy coveralls, even in July, he'd wear those things. And we used to see him, going for the garbage looking for cigarettes and picking cigarette butts off the ground and stuff to smoke. He didn't have any money, really, so he used to do that. But he used to stand on the street, and when you walked past him, and again, it didn't matter what the weather was like, he'd say, "Beautiful day." And that's how he sounded, it's just like that. "Beautiful day," And if it was raining out, he would say, "Beautiful day for ducks and frogs," And, I always thought, that guy, he brings a little brightness and cheer into the lives of everybody who passes him on the street. You get all these people, and they're all weighted down with the concerns of life, earning a living, family problems, business problems. They're dealing with this, that, and the other thing, and they look weighted down. You can tell, the people are just trudging along, basically trudging through life, just trying to get things done, you know, and weighted down with it. And then you walk past this guy, and he's standing there in his dirty old mechanic's coveralls, and no matter what the weather, you can count on him. He's always going to be there on the corner. And no matter what the weather, he's going to remind you that it's a beautiful day. So there's a man who, on the surface of it, had what would be society would call somebody like him a totally useless person. That's how society would judge somebody like him. But I always looked at it and I thought, that guy right there, even in his situation, even with his mind being the way it is, and even with him being impoverished to the point where he's literally smoking cigarette butts that other people have discarded, and so on, old stogies I have found. Remember that, King of the Road? Whenever I hear that song, I think of that guy, I smoke old stogies I have found, well, that was him. That was the Beautiful Day Man. I never knew his name. I mean, he'd be long dead now, I'm sure, because that was 30 years ago or more. But I never knew his name. And to me, he was just a beautiful day man. And I always made a point when I walked past him to nod and say hello. And of course, he'd say, "Beautiful day." And I would say, "Yeah, it sure is," just keep walking. But yeah, I actually thought to myself many times, that guy does serve a purpose. Society doesn't see it, but he does serve a purpose because he reminds us that every day is a gift from God, and that no matter what's going on in our lives, or no matter what the weather's doing, even if it's miserable, weather-wise, it's not that bad, you know. Every day we have on this earth is a gift from God, even the hard ones, and even the ones where the weather sucks, and even the ones where we're just weighted down with the concerns of our daily lives. It's a beautiful day. Anyway, that was the Beautiful Day Man, anyway, and wherever he is now, may he rest in peace. And, yeah, just like I say, you never forget certain things anyway, and that's something I remember. And it was kind of nice to hear somebody acknowledge that person, today on Facebook, all these years after. Like I say, the man would be long dead now. Probably never lived to even know that there would ever be such a thing as Facebook or the internet. But, yeah. Um, even so, it goes to show he made an impact, you know. Probably never had any idea the kind of impact he made, but he did. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.